Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for Leo season. Happy birthday, Leo. I hope you're well. I'm using the 777 Bulgarian deck for you today. That's it. A little bit of housekeeping before we begin. If the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via the links in the description box below this video. The first link takes you to Selfie if you just want the standalone extended for this reading. But if you would like to see the extended content that I make elsewhere, and there's a considerable amount of it, you might consider coming over to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix on the Circle platform. There you can get access to all of the extended content that I do for all of the signs every month, plus the weekly energy readings, which are anything from 45 minutes up, depending on how intense the energies are. And come participate in the Deccan Walk. If you've ever wondered about the crossover between tarot and astrology, the Deccan Walk is your thing, and I have to say it is proving to be life-changing for the people who are working with it. We are walking the sun through each 10-degree point in the sky. It's extraordinary. Anyhow, if you join at the higher tier, you can come participate in the live classes that we run over there and get access to all of the recordings of the past classes that we've done. And come hang out in the community spaces. We do a cards and community event at least once a month, usually twice, where we get together and read cards for each other and all that kind of thing as well. So there's loads going on over there. If you're interested in it, please do check it out. Let's flip the camera around here and have a little chat about what we're going to do today. Well, the very first thing I'm going to do is move my cup of coffee out of the way, because I don't need to see that. We're going to start off with the first question, and perhaps the most important question to ask yourself in 2026, which is, where am I right now? On the threshold of some pretty big Leo energy. I think that's a good one for us to start with, and from there, inspired by the Deccan Walk and the corresponding cards in the Minor Arcana, which are the 5, 6 and 7 of Wands, we're going to have a look at what we might be struggling with, what feels a little sticky at the moment, and how we can move through that, embodying sovereignty and courage. I think that's the way we're going to go, but I'll leave it kind of open for that one. The last set of cards that we will pull are going to look at the second most important question to ask yourself in 2026, which is, what is my next step? We don't need to know what you're doing next year. We don't even need to know what you're doing in January. We just need to know what the next step for Leo is. So I hope that's okay for you. This is what I have. In the extended, we will expand on any of the themes that have come out here. But let's get started. Sorry if you can hear chickens in the background. Somebody's just laid an egg and needs to tell everybody about it. So where is Leo right now, please? So we have the 9 of Pentacles on its side. We have the 7 of Wands in reverse and the Magician in reverse. Yeah, gosh. Is the South Node about to move into your sign, Leo? Okay, one more for Leo, please. Oh, you seem to want to come out, so let's have a look. Knight of Wands, right. At the bottom of the deck, we've got Temperance energy, and that's really rather nice. It's Sagittarius, as the Knight of Wands is. But the Temperance card is an interesting card. On the first pass, it speaks about equilibrium and balance, and it talks about the equilibrium and balance that is achieved off the back of dealing with things that are difficult, right? It's a learning to fill your own cup first. Sometimes it's divine orchestration, divine timing, things like this. But on the second pass of the Temperance card, we end up arriving at something relatively alchemical. There's an interesting alchemical process going on behind this Temperance card. There's always water depicted on it, even though it's a fire card and it represents Sagittarius. And I think, you know, the combination of emotion and its corresponding action is a huge part of what this card is about. It's part of the underworld journey of the major arcana that starts with the Hanged Man and finds its its ultimate expression and its completion in the Sun, interestingly enough, which is a Leo card, where we come back up from the underworld, reborn, renewed, all that sort of thing. But there's a real threshold energy about this, Leo. There's not really any other way to put it. But I can see how there's a feeling here that things are breaking down somewhat. And like, let's be realistic about this. The thing that is going to be breaking down over the next 18 months is you. But it's the current form that you take. We're going to be turning it into something new. This is this is what happens when the South Node goes through your sign. But it's not all bad news. I mean, there's a lot of good to be had in this, and although it's tiring, although we would rather be doing, cool victory things, it's about shedding a skin that now, doesn't fit very well. We're emerging, we will emerge from this period renewed, reborn, rejuvenated, considerably more authentic and sovereign than we went into it. Because the South Node, as a transit, is about a profound spiritual balancing, where we take those things that no longer are performing any kind of useful function, and we release those, we let those go, and we really thoroughly embed the wisdom. Now, in terms of the cards that are on the table at the moment, we have the Nine of Pentacles on its side. Which for me is a card of resources, and all sorts of things can be resources. It doesn't have to be specifically money, although money can come into it. Your time, your care, your effort, your attention, your energy, these are all pentacles. These are all your resources. And to see this on the side, it feels like they're kind of compromised at the moment. They're not, you're not down and out on your luck, but you're certainly feeling the pinch in one of these areas. The Nine of Pentacles is a card of self-sufficiency and independence, and it feels like our very self-sufficiency and independence is kind of compromised at this point, whether there is something that is taking your attention away from what you would rather be putting it on, or whether it is, money issues, money troubles, something like that, or even this sense of your resources not really being your own, whether it's material resources or anything else, like that kind of pull on them. And for me, the nines represent the way that we manage whatever suit it's talking about. So in the case of the Nine of Cups, how you manage your emotions, how you manage your mind. In the case of the Nine of Swords, in the case of the Nine of Pentacles, it's are your resources being efficiently deployed, or are they being sort of dragged away from you a little bit? Like the sense that you have complete control, sovereignty, independence, self-sufficiency over where all of these are going, it is a little, it's operating at its less than optimum, let's put it that way, Leo. Like I said, again, it's not that it's a chaotic mess, but it is certainly not working the way that you would like it to. And then when we come to these cards in the middle, I think this is where there's the potential for a little bit of stickiness here, because the Seven of Wands is reversed and the Magician is reversed. Now, there are two ways of looking at this that I can see. And honestly, neither of them are ideal, but at the same time, like once you see something, then you can begin to work with it, right? So the first one is the position of the Magician as someone who is able to manifest something. I've made this point before. I'm going to make it again, Leo. I feel like Leos have been going through the ringer since the Mars retrograde back in 2024, which, can you believe it, is now 2 years ago. I think it's felt like we've been wading through treacle since then. Mars stationed retrograde in the sign of Leo, then it came back, then it spent an interminably long time in Cancer before he finally decided that he was going to station direct and start moving forwards again. But even at that point when Mars started moving forwards, it felt like something was just kind of off from that point, right? And it almost to the extent that we've had to work twice as hard, it seems, as everybody else for half the result. right? So the magician and the manifestation ability and the kind of bringing things towards you, it's felt like it's not really functioned properly since then. And over time, and like I said, it's been 2 years now almost. I think it was September 2024, Mars went retrograde. From that point on, I feel like it's been grinding you down. Now, as we arrive at a point where the South Node is now preparing to ingress into Leo, you know, that grinding down, I think, has been serving a purpose, and that purpose has been to undermine the rigidity with which we have held the way that we do things. All right, fixed fire, whilst fire is fairly movable and whatnot, like that, the fixed element of this is where the rigidity comes from. It's no criticism of Leo. Like, you have to be strong, you have to be relatively rigid to be able to carry an entire season, and that's what Leo does, as all the fixed signs do. But I think the Seven of Wands showing up in the reverse like this is it's not a matter of courage anymore. Like, Leo has courage in spades, but courage is not fixing this situation, which is really, really interesting. Like, this is not a situation whereby the courage and standing in your, standing in your desire for manifestation, whatnot, like, it's not cutting it at all. Now, the other way of looking at this, and again, it is, we can relate it very strongly to the presence of the South Node. Once it comes in, it's going to be there for 18 months. Is this feeling that there's a way in which we are manipulating ourselves on a low level that says, I can't. In whatever sense that applies to you, I can't. I can't put in any more effort. I can't do this anymore. I can't. I've tried, and clearly I'm not capable of doing X, Y, and Z. It's that in the first example, there's a grinding down, right? There's a weariness. There's a, well, fucking hell, this isn't even fucking working. But the slight subtle difference with the second example is that this is a falsehood that we are telling ourselves, right? Because the magician is a manipulator of reality, right? And although we generally interpret him as quite a positive force for good, it is that manipulation that can sometimes turn up in its more pejorative state, right? And you often find this happening on the brink of a really big change. Are you familiar with the phrase extinction burst? It's a phrase that describes a process whereby you decide you're gonna give something up, something like that, right? And then you find that your consumption of that thing rises exponentially at the very point where you've decided that you're going to give up, right? You decide you're going to give up smoking next week. You smoke all the cigarettes between now and next week. And why? We don't know why you do. Extinction burst is the thing, right? So what's happening here is that sensing big changes on the horizon, which fixed signs don't like very much, there's this kind of doubling down. No, I have to keep everything small, everything rigid. I can't change anything. I don't want to change anything. I would just like things to be nicer, but they're not really nicer. So it's sensing on the wind in a very intuitive way that things are breaking down for a reason. Things are not happening for a reason. And that level of discomfort often precedes an enormous shift that I think you don't really want, Leo. Now, whether this is related to a kind of visibility, a needing to put in effort where you've already put so much effort in and you're like, I am so fucking tired, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to put some clarifiers out at this point. Tell me about this Magician reversed, Seven of Wands reversed. So we've got the Two of Cups, we've got the Moon, We've got the Page of Cups with the Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Now, the Two of Cups can be relationships that are outside of you, but really, genuinely, I think that this is the relationship that you have with yourself, Leo. Because there's something kind of predatory about this skeleton here and the way that it's approaching this rather beautiful blue and black woman here. And there's blood on the floor. And the thing about this is, there's been so much effort put in, there's been so much change that has happened. You have sat with discomfort for such a long time now. You've bled it, quite literally, on the card. You've bled this. And it's like there's just one little bit of stability, security, even safety, right, in the familiar that you want to hold on to. But the Ten of Swords says that you can't. Like, you're standing on the cusp of an evolution, Leo. And although you've been through so much over such a period of time, and you can see that each time something like this has happened, eventually you end up in a better place. That crunch of circumstances requiring a huge change. Do you know what? It feels like it's taking just a little bit too much from you. But Leo, I would ask you this, and I ask you this, Leo to Leo. Every single time this has happened to you, this has been the same reaction. This is taking too much from me. I cannot allow this to stand. And then you fight it, and it gets taken anyway. Now, I'm not talking about... Let's put this into context. The universe is generative. It is not punitive. And so one of the things that we've come to form an uneasy understanding of is those things that were taken away were never really ours anyway, right? And they were removed in order to generate new things to come in. Did you like it when it happened? No. Did you want to do it again? No. But grudgingly, we have to accept that it did turn out for the better. The thing is, though, I think with this 2-year run up where things have just been fucking off from day one, and it doesn't mean that there haven't been fun times in the middle of this, so that there haven't been things that you've done well and you're like, oh, that was cool, you know. So it's like the theme for the last 2 years, though, has been grind. It's been difficulty. It's been things feeling kind of misaligned with you, and now the energy is starting to build again, and it's like you're looking at it and your conscious mind is going, I ain't fucking doing that again. I'm not doing it again. Surely there has to be a point where this stops. But the Page of Cups and the Moon here with the Ten of Swords is saying, hey, guess what, Leo, it's evolution time again. Now, randomly, I started reading some, like that I do this on and off anyway. I started reading some Buddhist philosophy a couple of weeks ago. And it was drawing distinctions between pain and suffering, as we know very well. You know, they're two very different things. But the thing that I was reading was pointing out the fact that, you know, the pain happens. You can't stop that. You can't do anything about it. And I think that's what you're trying to avoid at this point, right? But realistically, what it is you're actually trying to avoid is the suffering. And here's the thing. Suffering is pain plus resistance. And what's coming through really strongly here is not you being avoidant. It's you actually being incredibly perceptive and seeing something coming down the pike. And you're so tired that the pain that you can see coming is something that you are now actively resisting. Now, I use the word pain kind of with air quotes around it because one of the other things that we've learned over time is that the pain that we perceived is not usually always the pain that is experienced. It's the suffering that amplifies this. It's the suffering that makes it so much bigger, right? But we're trying to resist our perception of pain rather than the reality of pain, and then we create loads of suffering for ourselves, and then in that state, then we're like, well, see, I fucking told you it was all going to be shit, right? It's the thing is, there's something different about this. This feels bigger, and to be fair, every point like this that Leo has been through, it has changed something so fundamentally that Leo has become almost like a different person. There's no doubt about that at all. And it's not to say that this is just big because it's huge and it's punitive and all that kind of thing, right? This is the natural corollary of work that you have been engaged on for a long time. Now, with the nodes being in Aquarius, it's kind of pulling in the opposite direction to what Leo naturally likes to do. But at the same time, this evolution will not be resisted. You can try, but you will most certainly cause yourself pain in the process. And the question is, have you learned enough, Leo, to recognize where what's going on underneath is actually what is being experienced outside? Do you see what I mean? I mean, because the Page of Cups feels like a fresh approach to the problems of self, the problems of our subconscious, the problems of those rather ephemeral forces that are working on us in subtle ways that we can't really fucking work out most of the time. Nobody wants to experience this, and yet this is the force through which we change reality. Now, we've already worked out through one way or another we are not getting the reality that we've set out to try and get for ourselves, and now we're starting to feel burdened. Now we're starting to doubt. Now we're starting to wonder if there's even any point in trying. But it's like part of that disillusionment is a building resistance to the big changes that we can see coming in. Right, I've been eyeballing this Leo season for about 3 years because, you know, off the back of some really extraordinary astrology that's occurred over the course of this year already, then to see Jupiter entering Leo, South Node entering Leo at the same time. And what does Jupiter do? Jupiter expands, and so we should see an expansion of South Node themes and energies showing up in the house that is ruled by Leo for us, and whatever placements you may have in Leo. And then we have 2 consecutive solar eclipses, 1 year after the other, with no corresponding lunar eclipses to close the story. Now that sounds loud to me, right? The whole Leo house seems loud. And then you factor in the fact that Pluto is in Aquarius on the opposite side of the chart, and the North Node is in Aquarius on the opposite side of the chart. What I feel like you can feel coming, Leo, is like a splitting. And who the fuck wants to split themselves? And yet, you know, that tearing is what is creating the space for the new version of you to come through. And the fact that the Knight of Wands is here feels like an exhortation to remain present, right? Not to lose yourself in a past version of what was and how we've done this before and how it didn't feel good then, and it's probably not going to feel good now and we don't like it. And not trying to project forwards to as a almost like a kind of escapism to get away from the ouchies of the moment. Right? Because in neither of those places are your courage or your manifestation abilities, your will, able to really show themselves. Tell me about Leo season for Leos, please. So, we have the Ten of Pentacles reversed, and we have the Queen of Swords on her side. Six of Pentacles on its side, and the Devil on its side. A card for Leo, please. And the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And yes, the Eight of Wands showing up too. Now, why and yes? Well, because the Eight of Wands for me represents an acceleration, amplification, an increase in momentum of forces, right? It's that propulsion that we associate very strongly with eclipse season, right? It's rocketing us forwards, and we tend to cover a lot more ground during eclipse season than we do at any other point in the year, right? So as we move into the body of the dragon, everything gets very surreal and very weird, and like I said, we've got that kind of rocketing forwards. And the thing is, I think there's very little for you to hold on to here, Leo, while it's happening, because the Ten of Pentacles, stability, security, again, safety, the anchor points, it's in the reverse. So not only do we have a Nine of Pentacles showing up like this, the Ten of Pentacles is showing up in reverse now. Compromised Nine of Pentacles, compromised level of control and management over our own resources, whether they are you know, material or otherwise. And then we've got what should be an anchor point, heritage and legacy and all that kind of thing, being like fucking flipped upside down, so that it's not secure and it's not stable and things are breaking down. And what's worse is the Queen of Swords is sitting on the top saying, don't even expect to try and make any sense of this, because you can't. Like, it's like Leo season is not about making sense of what's happened. It's not about anchoring down. It's not about being rigid. It's not about being fixed. It is, in fact, a flipping upside down of all the things you've been trying to hold up. So then when we've got the Six of Pentacles on its side and the Devil showing up as well, it feels like this is a ripping off of a Band-Aid. To use an American term, we say plaster in the UK, right? Well, it was ripping something off to show something that is festering underneath. And in order to do that, there has to be a distinctly imbalanced sort of situation that shows its face. Why? Because here's the Ace of Swords. Right? The truth that is sitting underneath all of this is not something that we can perceive with the level of consciousness that we've been looking at it, particularly if we are in this rut of, well, what's the fucking point? And I don't really want to do that, and I'm kind of resisting everything. You know, this doesn't feel like, for me at least anyway, it doesn't feel like Leo season is feeling particularly Leo friendly, to be honest. Certainly not to the Leo that currently exists, the Leo that is tired, the Leo that, you know, Mars in Leo, as that is there, that hasn't really felt themselves since the Mars retrograde 2 years ago. And are we not getting ready for another Mars retrograde coming up really soon? I feel like we are. I've said this quite a few times this year, but I really do feel like chaos is just simply a pattern we don't understand yet. And in retrospect, these things always make sense. You can start, you have a better sense of where something started if you know where it ends up. And we can't see that when we're right in the middle of it. And whether you like it or not, Leo, you are right in the middle of it. And there are a lot of astrologers out there who are talking about, mega glow up for Leo and stuff like that. And I'm like, I am wondering if they just fucking post this shit for clicks. Because glowing up is not what the South Node fucking does to people, you know? It breaks down and releases what is not helpful for us to keep carrying forward. Jupiter may be the greater benefic, but he's simply an expansive force. I really do feel like this is kind of digging in and taking a lot of this on the chin, Leo. Tell me about this Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Hermit and the King of Cups, and notice that the Hermit's on his side. He doesn't really know whether he wants to be seen or not, to be honest, and ever was it thus with Leo, right? But here's the King of Cups. Scorpio energy. But it's the active masculine expression of the Suit of Cups. And so it's like, well, we need to bring this more mature fucking head that we've got to the situation nowadays and move from that place rather than where we have been. Like, we've been through this enough times before, not this exact configuration of transits, but certainly when things are difficult, to A, know what patterns we fall into, and B, also know that on the other side, this just is, it's more tolerable. It makes sense in retrospect. And we feel better, we feel more able to be in our skin in retrospect than we did when we were on the run up to it and going through it too. But by necessity, things have to be kind of thrown up and thrown around and be unbalanced to reveal what is sticky underneath. We've got the Knight of Cups, Pisces energy. We've got the Four of Pentacles. And we've got the Queen of Cups sitting on the other side now. And it's like there's a pincer movement going on here that says the way that you've been showing up, the way that you've been of service, it's like it's done now, right? It belongs to the old, and now it's time to start jettisoning what doesn't belong there. Now, for you, that might just be something as simple as having really, considerably better fucking boundaries than you have had up until this point. Managing your own energy better because, like, you have the primary right to that, not other people. Again, the boundaries thing, right? But Leo doesn't serve by hiding. Right? Leo doesn't serve by hiding any part of themselves. And, as much as I'm hearing, a lot of things about the dawning of the age of Aquarius and all this kind of thing, I have for 4 years said this is not a good thing. I don't think that this is going to be an enjoyable period for humanity. We're not going to all sit around and sing "Come by fucking ya." All vibing in the oneness of our collective spirits. That's not what at least the first stage of Aquarius is going to look like. And as the world pulls in that Aquarian direction, you can guarantee that there is going to be something that is ripping out the foundation from Leo and requiring something else, something more appropriate for the time, because Leo ultimately will be the check and balance for Aquarius. But first, Leo has to go through the fire and be reborn. There's going to be a big pull towards collectivism in the next year and a half. And the antidote to that is Leo. But you're going to have to learn to show up soulfully with everything that you are and everything that you represent authentically in order to be the counterpoint to that. And that means that the ways that you have been of service up until this point now need to change. And Leo season will start to give you an indication of what that may look like for you. And you notice that we've got the King and Queen of Cups showing up here, right? We've got the epitome of the Cups suit of emotional maturation appearing here for you. to say you've got this, you're strong enough to do this, you can cope with this emotionally. Like, it's time for a reinvention. And the reinvention is coming by way of losing all the things that make you small, because that's not what the time that you're in requires from you. Tell me about this Ace of Swords, please. Why is this here? We've got the Five of Wands. And we've got the Wheel of Fortune with the Nine of Swords. I mean, the truth is that Leo is an incredibly intuitive sign, and I think you've known this is coming for a long time. You may not have had the words for the transits. Actually, I don't think the words for the transits are particularly fucking important, but there's a role that you showed up to play that as yet you're not playing, Leo. And so, you know, the beatings will continue until morale improves and all that sort of shit, right? Five of Wands, Nine of Swords. The Wheel of Fortune is saying this is where this giant heart of yours that is forged in fire comes from. And this is just a natural corollary of the positions that you've been in before. You know how to weather this storm. You know how to go through it. You also know that it is the resistance to the change that causes the biggest problem with you. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Like, I hate bringing out these kind of trite quotes, but like, genuinely, I think that's the thing that you're resisting. It's the fear. Five of Wands is a Saturn card. It's Saturn in Leo. And it's pretty gross. Well, I'm not going to lie. It is pretty gross. But Saturn forges those things that are going to last for a long time through discipline and hard work. And I know everything feels kind of thankless at the moment, Leo, but like, it's not going to stay this way forever. It feels like it's been like this for a long time, right? But it's not going to stay like this forever, because it can't. Because the one thing that is constant in the universe is that everything changes. And you didn't sign up for an easy time. You signed up for a meaningful time, and that means that you are going to have to walk through the fire over and over again, each time shedding a layer of something that is dimming your shine until you show up as the radiant spirit that you actually are. Seriously, if anybody's telling you it's glow up time for you, like, give them a slap. These people are posting for clicks. It's not. But again, it doesn't have to be miserable. It's challenging, for sure. But maybe this is where the energy of the Knight of Wands is most significant. It's like, take each moment as it comes. Deal with each thing as it happens. Don't steal grief against tomorrow about worrying about what could happen and then being conflicted about showing up as your true self with your true opinions and your true light. Because the Wheel of Fortune is trying to bring this in for you. Doesn't matter which way the real wheel is. I mean, I feel like the orientation of the Wheel of Fortune is always about how well you can see what's going on or not. Like, the function of the wheel doesn't fucking change no matter which position it's in, right? So a Wheel of Fortune that is reversed is still fucking spinning, it's still doing its thing, but you can't see how this is playing out in your life, right? When the Wheel of Fortune is in the upright, we get a sense that we're kind of going somewhere. This is good, right? We know this is leading to something bigger. When it shows up on its side like that, it's like we've got the intuitive awareness that something's going on, but we're not quite sure what it is, and we don't know where it's going to take us. And we are not entirely sure that we want it, or we like it, or any of those things. I mean, I think we're launching into a period where the only way out is through, Leo, and that has always been true. You know, there will be a point in the future where all of this is a memory, and we know that things will be feeling better then. We actually will know that. We perhaps fear that it won't be, but we do know that it's, pretty consistent. And as much as we would like to be able to understand everything and be in control and, do all the things that the fixed signs do, like, we don't have our hands on the wheel for this one. We don't. The only thing that we have got is our ability to take each day, each moment, each hour as it comes and just keep showing up and keep doing our best. I wish I could give you a more positive and glowing fucking reading, but like Leo, I'm here to tell you the truth. So I probably lost half of the people who are watching this reading in the first place, right? Because there is a low tolerance for truth right now. But anything that's other than the absolute Ace of Swords truth is not helpful to you. It's just encouraging more of this. The universe is generative, so whatever it's breaking down, whatever it's taking away, whatever it's removing, whatever it's taking out of you, all of that stuff has reached its expiration date. Can we lean into the idea that the South Node knows what it's doing, and that the soul knew what it was doing when it signed up for this lifetime? It doesn't mean that you can't have a bitch about it, Leo. Like, by all means, feel free. But it doesn't change the reality. So anyway, like, I spent yesterday completely fucking livid. For like stupid reasons. I looked at my zodiacal releasing periods and wanted to chew the table. Didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, and I was cross about it all day. And I was like, I'll be over it tomorrow. And here we are tomorrow, and I am over it. Like, what's the point in being stressed about something that you can't change? How does the old saying go? It's not a saying, is it? It's a poem or a prayer. God, give me the strength to change what I can, the grace to accept what I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. I mean, that's the period that we're entering now. And honestly, I would write that down somewhere, Leo, and put it on your wall. Just remind yourself, What is Leo's next step? Two of Swords. Okay. Three of Swords. Three of Cups. So, Page of Swords is at the bottom of the deck, and for me that is always a card of expansion, right? And specifically mental expansion and to some extent, right, perspective expansion. And we know that you're coming from a place of the revelation of things that you don't know, or the things that you can't see that you can't see. I want to be really clear about this, Leo. Like, pretending that the next year or so isn't going to be kind of tough is not actually going to immunize you from it being tough. It's not going to insulate you at all. I would like to think that most Leos who are at a point where they've been doing their work for a considerable amount of time now would recognize the necessity of these particular kind of lessons, and also the fact that they get to choose whether they simply experience the pain of the shift or whether they experience the pain of the shift and the suffering of the trying to resist the shift. There's no point in putting the blindfold on, because you know what's coming, and you also know that there are actually probably a few things in here where you're already wearing the blindfold, right? The South Node will take that blindfold off and it will show you in sharp 4K relief exactly why this was an illusion. But you're not doing it on your own. Three of Cups is here, and I feel like, as well as the openness to what comes next, and again, the suffering is the biggest issue, and the suffering is something that you get to decide whether you're going to do or not. Like, the power is in your hands here, Leo. So don't come at me and tell me I'm being fucking negative, because, like, I would lean in this season to the people that know you, the people that love you, the people that care about you, your emotional support networks, whoever they are. Because this is not going to be a uniformly bad transit, it's going to be wildly up and wildly down and a lot of, shit in between. And if you can remain present through all of it, I think it's going to be a lot less abrasive than it could be. Who are your people, Leo? I got a feeling that most of you Leos know who your tribe is. You got a good sense of who they are. Lean on that. Particularly this month. I feel like August is going to be a little bit brutal for everyone. But we can ride this wave a little bit. Get by with a little help from your friends, right? This is very interesting. I'm going to go to the extended now. If you've made it this far, congratulations. I would like to salute you for your tolerance for truth. If you'd like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Circle, you can do that on Selfie. I would be delighted to see you in either place. This is a separating the wheat from the chaff period of time, Leo. You are wheat, and you have to stop pretending you're chaff. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.